Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, HEX. You've already seen it in the thumbnail and in the video description. Today, I invited Dipcatcher to talk about the new interesting protocol that we are getting in the HEX community, a community-owned protocol that allows us to pool again to earn more HEX than we ever could doing it alone. And I want to bring up a screen share here to bring up a quick and easy laugh here, because obviously we have Tantonome in the show, and I want to say, man, how is it going? You look exactly like Monkey D. Luffy. I think his name is from One Piece. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for being such an awesome community member, developing one piece after another, pun intended in this case. So tell us a little bit of a pool token about the airdrop that is about to come out. I think today you had to share some interesting news on Maximus DAO. So give us a little bit of an elevator pitch, and then we want to get the people to view everything about pool token.
Yeah, so I'm Dipcatcher. I'm the creator of Maximus DAO, and we focus on building tools that enhance the HEX and DeFi experience. And so we're known for some HEX staking pools that we launched in the last year. We launched Maxi first. That was a max length, 5,555 days stake, about 300 million HEX was pooled. And then we followed that up with Base, Trio, Lucky, and Desi. Those are 1, 3, 7, and 10 years. And so all these pool tokens that we've launched so far have been a huge success. Over 1 billion HEX has been put into them, and the whole purpose of this all is mainly to help HEX as a scaling solution, because with everybody staking on their own, the high gas fees for ending that can be shocking, especially the longer that it is. And so by bundling up all the people into one single action, we can save, with 1,000 people, that's like 99.9% gas savings for staking. So sorry, I keep calling it staking. Old habits, hard to break. I definitely think people should just call it whatever they want, whatever comes naturally to them. And you don't want to force things, because then it can kind of confuse. So, mining pools, smurfing pools, whatever you want. The whole purpose of this is to keep more money in the HEX economy. And so that's what we built over 2022. Starting in April was when Maxi launched. So that's when it launched. And then in September is when those 4 other pools launched. And then we launched a Hedron staking pool, which was Poly. That has a very unique history with it. That's a 15-year Hedron staking pool, earning a huge amount of ICOSA. It's actually the highest yielding coin that we have.
Let's touch on that a little bit, because our viewers, they are often no coiners, or they just got into HEX. They don't know about those amazing derivatives yet that you were producing, and also Poly is really, really new and nobody talks about it. You just wanted to touch on it, so let's do that. Give us a little bit of an elevator pitch of Poly and what happened, and why was it good that it happened?
Yeah, so Poly was right now it's a Hedron staking pool, but it actually launched as a pool to bid on HSIs from the ICOSA Hedron ecosystem, because a big wave of them came out in November. And so in November, a bunch of these were coming out. We had just wrapped up the perpetual pools launch about a month before these were coming out. And so we were trying to get this out the door to be able to bid like pool Hedron and then bid on HSIs. And what happened is that there's a part of the contract that in general was inherently very high risk. The whole part where there's an executor that would bid on behalf of users, and the whole bidding part was already pretty risky. And then also it was impossible to test on like real live testnet auctions, because ICOSA launched after the Pulse Chain V2B contract, and so there wasn't an accurate representation in our normal testing suite. And since this part of the process was already a very risky thing, we had already built in like a safeguard where if anything was to go wrong with the whole bidding part of it, that the bidding would just stop, and then it would revert to being just a hedron staking pool. And so what happened was Poly had won a couple of auctions, and then when we went to process the auctions through the contract, it became clear that due to something very deep in the weeds on how HSIs are actually stored, and there was an issue with getting those stakes just ended. So they're effectively burnt, these HEX stakes. And so basically it was like a 15% haircut on the hedron, because about 15% of the total bidding budget had been put into these bids. But so, that's what it was just set to be. It was going to be a hedron stake pool that was backed by 0.85 hedron per poly. But then the day after that whole incident, the hedron deployer address injected about 500 billion hedron into the contract. And so now that brought the backing of poly to hedron. Now each poly, which was mintable with 1 hedron, is now backed by 1.1 hedron. And then all of that hedron was just simply staked for 15 years. And so by now, the total value of the ICOSA that hedron stake has earned in the about, I don't know, almost 3 months that it's gone on is about worth $500,000. And
oh, wow.
the principal value is about $3.8 million. And so if 501 over 3871, that is about, let's see.
So basically what happened was that Poly was supposed to be a bidder for HSI auctions, but what happened then afterwards with all the incidences, it became a maxi for hedron, right? Poly is the maxi for hedron, and it's just a giant stake, and this is why we have such amazing returns of investment on our ICOSA here. So what is the number?
So it's about 30% on the principal to date, and so 30% is about what maxi earns in HEX. And so Poly is actually the highest yielding pool token that there is, because
wow.
It's absorbing so much of the ICOSA yield. And so this incident, it actually, the fail-safe mode, because we didn't have much time to build this. And so just the fallback, if anything went wrong, we just called it, we're going to revert to hedron staking. Like, hedron staking is an awesome plan anyways. So if anything was to go wrong with this one untestable part that we were already kind of uncertain about, we would just revert to the hedron staking. And then so it reverted to the hedron staking. And now the annualized APY is something like, so it's been around for 3 months so far. So that's about a quarter. So the annualized APY on that is about 120%. The APY for maxi is like 32 or 33%. And so I don't even want to call it a bug anymore, because it like became a better asset in a way.
It's funny how it works sometimes.
Yeah. And so, that was what Poly was. And so, we've been building, various HEX ecosystem, staking derivative products. And even our bad ones turn out great. So it's kind of funny how that works out.
So it's fun to hear this kind of backstory on Poly. I heard about the hedron that was sent there, but I never knew that it was actually the deployer. So I think that was pretty cool. Thanks for sharing that. And like always, guys, I want to tell you that here in the video description, if you scroll down, I'm doing that really quick, you find the links for today's stream. It is the Twitter account of Maximus DAO. It's of Dipcatcher, and also Hex Pool Party, hexpool.party. That's where we go in a second. But you were mentioning what is just happening in the Hex community, that Richard Hart changed from staking to mining, and we are not 100% clear yet if it's called locking up and so on. And you mentioned that actually everybody should decide that for themselves. I thought that was pretty cool that you said that, because exactly that is my point of view as well. If you out there want to call it staking, then go ahead. I'm I'm personally going with mining. Like I will mine hex in the future, and I'm always educating on hex. I have to write down what is the right way, what is and so on and so on. And then I'm obviously have to use all of these terms. And right now I'm trying to sort out what do I take and what do I leave and so on. So what is it with staking or mining? Like which of these words would you go for personally? Because you have to implement that for Maximus DAO as well, I guess.
Yeah. So, well, what's interesting is that when I'm talking to people that have no idea what, like what crypto is, and I tell them that I build, like blockchain financial assets, and that I focus on a thing called Hex. When I'm talking about Hex to someone who I know doesn't know about Hex, I actually, call it like, that you earn yield. And I say it's kind of like Bitcoin mining. It's like you're mining the Hex inflation, and it's like you lock it up and then you can earn the inflation kind of how. And because a lot of people know about Bitcoin mining by now, they've heard about it on the news, like, oh, they're boiling the oceans to mine these crypto coins, like all that. And so for people that I don't really know very well, and that I know for a fact don't know about anything related to Hex, I like for the longest time I've actually kind of compared it to Bitcoin mining, when they ask like where the yield comes from. And so mining kind of works. The as like a developer, it's like staking is what's in the contract. Like you're running the stake function, like stake start, stake end, and so it's so rooted in just like my vernacular that it's kind of a hard habit to break. Even Richard, he tweeted something where he was like showing how great the hex chart still looks and saying this isn't even including the stake yield. And so it's a hard thing to do. It's definitely about context, and like it's because sometimes I just call it time locking. It's because it all works. When I look back to what my first tweets about Hex were, and I used the word time locking, and I used the word stake, like I said, long-term stake schedule. So it kind of, I think it really just comes down to the context, like, know your audience. Like if they know what's going on, it makes sense to do that. And, so I think stake is kind of hard to part with because, like to crypto native people, they know what staking means. Like staking is a very broad term. It's like you're doing something with your coins, and while it's like you're either depositing them in something, you're burning them, like you're doing something with them. They're no longer just sitting in your wallet, they're somewhere else, and then some happens. And so I think staking is kind of a broad term. And I also think that mining is probably, I would say that mining for like the outside world probably has a worse connotation than staking, I would say. Just because like, since the Ethereum merge, maybe it's, I feel like I haven't heard much about it anymore. The word, kind of that, like the NPC type of class of people, they're like, oh, Bitcoin is going to kill the environment. Like I want to control who can procure energy resources. I want to control how energy is spent. Those people that like, they want to kill other people in order to curb their energy use, like that category of person, and the people that they influence or persuade, they think mining is horrible. And so it's like, maybe some like, I know that like the SEC and other people who want to, come after you with weapons for broadcasting numbers to blockchains, those people, have said that they want to come after staking. And so I can kind of see why, but it's like, okay, either word, it's like, regardless, it's like those people are coming for us. I don't think it matters what we decide to call it, like from one day to the next. Like, that's not where the battle is fought. Like you win that thing with acts of refusal and leaning into technology that is very easy on the defensive side, but very hard to break if you're on the offensive side. So if they're coming after you, holding your crypto on an exchange where they can serve a legal summons to the company and take your coins, that's, not leaning into tools that help you, but holding your own private keys and using smart contracts that can't be shut down, can't be coerced. that puts a lot of power on the side of the defender and makes it very hard on the person on offense who's trying to infringe on your human rights to broadcast numbers to blockchains. So like, I don't think that like the wording is like even relevant. It really like comes down to, you know, just following through on trustless, decentralized financial products. And, you know, that's kind of how you can protect yourself more than just kind of like, you know, the semantics of what name you call it.
Yes, 100%. And like you said, at the end, the battle is not fought about the wording and so on. And that's why I think Richard Hart was really just changing the name of our process in order to represent what we are doing. We are mining and we are not giving away our keys. We are hold self-custody. You were mentioning that. So I think that's a really important part of crypto. And, you know, I always just had the feeling that Richard Hart really wants to compare Hex and Bitcoin with each other. And that's why changing to mining, obviously, here in this regard helps as well. The last
Is it
question,
on the go.hex.com site yet? Let me see.
On go.hex.com, I believe it's not changed yet. It takes always a little longer in order to make changes on this side. It was changed on hex.com immediately. And this also leaves me now on pumphex.com to change all the wording. On Pool Party, I was seeing staking is still in there. So it's just interesting for me how the community will take that, you know, and go with it. Will they be smurfing or publishing, mining? Really interesting the development for me. The last question around the cryptocurrency, just so to give everybody a chance to like and subscribe if you guys have not done so. Let's ask you about all the activity regarding to Richard Hart. We have seen that he was logging into GitHub for 5 days in a row. He normally never done that. He's like really active. He changed his bio on Twitter. What do you think? Why is all of this? I was excited when I see that because I see something is changing. 2 or 3 months ago, no updates. Today, we get almost every day an update. So how do you like that, Dipkash, before we move on to Pool Party?
Yeah, I mean, I love seeing. First of all, I over anything, I love seeing him appear happy, and you know, it's like because everyone's life is difficult. Everyone goes through things that like you know maybe no one knows, and you know, so, and like I feel it too. Sometimes you know there are times where I'm feeling super on it, like I'm you know feeling like I'm on top of the world. Then there are other times where I like feel exhausted. I feel you know, and it's like that's just kind of normal life cycle stuff. And so maybe that's just kind of what, you know, normal, like just because you're, you know, rumored billionaire doesn't mean you're not, you know, free from just kind of those things that are, you know, maybe has to do with diet, sleep, hormones, like all these things that just impact your, you know, how you're feeling and how, you know, you put yourself out there. You know, that all that stuff definitely applies to him. And so I, you know, when I, you know, see that or just kind of, you know, see that it's just like, that's just like normal human stuff. You know, sometimes you feel great and then sometimes you know, don't feel so great. And so, you know, I think it's good to see all, you know, kind of the, how he's, you know, just putting himself out there in this way. I think a lot of people can really connect to that. I think that like the, you know, kind of like the flexing focused brand and like outreach. I don't know how many people can really connect with that. But kind of like, you know, kind of letting people into his like personal life and his upbringing, like a lot of people can connect with that. And so I think that that's a really powerful kind of, you know, way to that he's kind of presenting himself. You know, it's like a whole new type of, you know, just like brand, I guess. You know, it's like we've seen all kind of all these different brands of Richard Hart's personality. And, you know, and so I think that's really cool to see that evolution. You know, it's been going on for, you know, because I can think of, you know, pre-Hex Richard Hart and then early Hex Richard Hart and then, you know, October 2021 Richard Hart and then, you know, bear market 2022 Richard Hart. It's like we've kind of seen this evolution. And, you know, it's just kind of like on to the next thing. And, you know, hopefully, you know, this can help him connect with new audiences and gain more support and credibility. And I think it's good to see activity in there with, you know, with the Pulse chain, you know, because like, even though I build, you know, my own stuff, like I have no clue what's going on with anything related to Pulse chain development. Like I've never even spoken to anyone who's even on that team. So I really don't know anything what's going on. And, what I imagine is that because we've had V2B since the Maxi was on Pulse Chain Testnet V1, but then the team in the perpetuals, that was on V2B, and so we've had V2B since a couple months before then. I think even Hedron was on V2B, so that had to have been in like March of last year, so almost a year ago that we've had that. And V2B was based on that version that was related to the Binance Smart Chain. Something with like the validator rotation was from that, and the system state was going to be from Ethereum. So that was like the original version. But when the merge happened, and then he kind of changed the strategy on not trying to address scaling things immediately, doing a closer fork to just the current Ethereum system state, and then kind of going from there. When that happened, when was the merge? That was around the Poly launch, right? Or was that in September? I can't remember.
It feels like 2 or 3 months, something like this.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it had to have been around the Poly launch, because I remember Poly started pre-merge and then ended post-merge. Is what I or no, maybe it was. I don't know. I'll have to look back on when the merge was. But so that was when they changed the strategy onto the close to Ethereum fork. And so this is like a kind of basically it started from scratch again. Maybe they learned things and techniques and whatever, but it's basically kind of like a fresh new build. And so it kind of makes sense why, maybe he wasn't in there kind of like, reviewing stuff or discussing, things related to that, because the V2B code base was much, much older. So, and also, that's just the public one. There's certainly private repos in their GitLab accounts that, he probably had activity in before, or, some other, maybe he uses other accounts as well with, anonymized email addresses, who knows? So, it's good to see activity in there. And I hope that V3 launches soon, and who knows what the next shitcoin I'll launch that'll be on V3.
Well, let's see. You are known for yourself launching a lot of those, right? And this is exactly the topic we want to get into now. Pool Party is launching. There is no day yet for launching, right? Like everything is in the process. So why don't you give us an elevator pitch, especially for Pool Party? What was the need for creating Pool Party, and what specific problems is Pool Party solving?
Yeah, so Pool Party is a platform for launching and organizing your own HEX staking pools, much like we launched Maxi, Base, Trio, Lucky, Deci. We're now just kind of unlocking that ability for anyone to deploy and organize their own pools. So the same problems that we solved with our own pools, that fully applies here. You're amplifying your yield because of bigger pays better bonus. You're saving on gas fees massively, splitting it up across hundreds or thousands of people. And these pool tokens are liquid, so you can trade in and out of them if you want. And so, or you can spread them across numerous wallets. You don't have to, like when you early end stake a native HEX stake, it's all or nothing. You can just break off a little piece of your stake and sell that if you need to. So it really adds a lot of flexibility with holding exposure to staked HEX, or HEX that is mining new HEX. And so that's really the what we're solving there, and why we're doing this. So this is actually the original idea for the perpetuals. Like right after we launched Maxi, this was going to be what followed it up. Like we looked back to like all of our old text messages. I even tweeted like screenshots of all the text messages of like literally in May of 2022, we're planning Pool Party. But then we're just like, okay, well, like, it probably like the decision on making it like where we, rather than just launching this and kind of let it all loose with people launch their own pools, and doing kind of more directed pools, that was just because like there was still opportunity for like a similar type of Maxi launch, but for shorter timeframes. And also, I mean, less is more, really. Like the less pools there are, the better, because like the more people staking in smaller pools or smaller number of pools, larger amount, like that's higher yield per person. And so that was why we did, those first. And so by now it's like we had those pools that exist. And so we've kind of spanned the whole spectrum. And we know that there's certainly like interest and opportunity for people to join new pools. And so, that was why, we decided this. We definitely know that other people want to try to, kind of copy what we've done and kind of mix it up in their own way. And so, we were planning on launching this probably, there are other things that almost were in this next docket for a new release. I'm not going to talk about what those are now, but like I've already like kind of built and prototype contracts and designed systems that, totally unrelated to this type of stuff. But we decided to do this now. One, because we definitely want to protect people from getting into potentially bad solutions with unqualified developers. So we definitely want to give people good solutions for this type of thing soon. And also, this was something that, like the other things that we were about to build and launch, those are like much larger projects and much, like the time to market on those would be, many months. Whereas with Pool Party, like the contracts are already almost done. And so this can be prepared to launch really in just a couple weeks. And so the time to market on this was good. We felt a little bit of, we saw other people, like there's one that's launching a big sacrifice, I think now, but they aren't the only ones that were DMing me saying, hey, we're going to build this. Like, can you help us? And so I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people that if you're asking for help, that means, you're already kind of in a disadvantage, or if you have to outsource development to someone else, you're kind of at a disadvantage. And so we didn't really want to, like, we wanted to protect users from, kind of getting sucked into potentially bad solutions. Hopefully all these competing things that are like this, hopefully they work out and there are no problems. But I mean, if you gotta raise a bunch of money up front and then outsource it, who knows what's going to happen? Like you want to be in assets designed by people that can build them themselves, or not need to, raise a bunch of money before something to build it, especially something as simple as this. And so, we definitely want to give people good solutions. And, it's like, because at the end of the day, this is a ruthlessly competitive environment, and we're ruthless competitors. And so, we take it kind of head on. It's like, we've been sitting on this thing for a while, and so we just felt like the time was right now that our stake pools have kind of marinated a little bit, and we think that there's a lot of opportunity around the just like what we're really focused on is making a really positive like pool organizer experience. So when people come and organize pools, like we think that's going to be really exciting with like the branding of these, the ticker names, which are going to be pretty interesting. And so we think that this is going to be a really, really good solution that makes a lot of people really excited to save money on gas fees, by joining into these pools.
And the next thing that I want to talk about is the airdrop. That is also really interesting. So there's no sacrifice, but there's an airdrop. Everybody loves that. But you were also mentioning basically the problem. Why even launching Pool Party? Because you have Maximus, you have Decky, and this is exactly what... where is it? Daniel Polke is saying, Pool Party, just go into Maxi. Why we need another contract risk? And you have, I think, also have exactly the same thing in the FAQ. So you are obviously aware of this question. And what would you answer to that?
Yeah, so you should check if you can get a better deal on any of the existing pools, because when you're joining a new pool, it's minting at like a 1-to-1 rate. But if you can buy an equivalent exposure to the same T-shares, especially dated T-shares through, say, Deci at a discount, then you should absolutely do that. So, that's one. There's not really much additional contract risk with these, because they're like, these are the contract that you'll be deploying is the exact same contract as Base Tree or Lucky Deci. So it's not like it's necessarily introducing any new contract risk. And these ones have been fully tested, like on both testnet and mainnet, and in like I've literally forked Ethereum and then mined forward time to prove that the existing stakes will end. Like I've even done like forked Ethereum to prove it. And so there's very limited, contract risk with these. And so it's the same contract that'll be in these pool parties. And also, I mean, another reason why we decided to launch this is that we thought that this could actually put a lot of perspective onto the existing perpetual pools, because right now it's like these tokens on their own, unless you know about kind of the intricacies of it, you just see those ticker names, you don't really know what it is. But now that it's kind of put into context with, like, you can either stake to join a new pool, or you can use that hex to buy into a other pool, it kind of puts them in perspective. And so this is also, partially kind of like a growth channel for the existing pool tokens. Because at the end of the day, it's like we really want people to get the best deal possible. And so, and also, with the, like early on in Maxi, there was a high premium pretty much because there was like no other game in town for that. And because it was related to the perpetuals and team launch. But with, now that there may be like a proliferation of these, it may actually create a scenario where there's awesome discounts on pre-staked hex almost all the time. And like, if people can use the tools that I deliver to achieve higher ROI than if they were doing this on their own, then that's a success. And so, like we've definitely realized that like there's no such thing as defending a premium on these things. Like the default state is 100% discount. Like, because the equivalent would be like if you were to early end stake a 10-year stake right now, you'd get nothing. Like the early end stake then would be full nuke. And so like that's actually the default state, is like to take the equivalent stake and take it, from there. And so with, with the discounts, because like discounts are kind of inevitable in these things. And so we're just like, okay, like, why not lean into that? And, perhaps that, people who like that, where that can be the liquidity, is that there's this like T-share marketplace where you can look for these pools, find the best deals, find the best timelines that you care about. And then, so we're hoping that this can be like a really good channel for, just like helping people get the most T-shares as possible.
So the people here see the T-share marketplace on Pool Party, and that's where they can see all the maxi, the perpetuals, and also different pools. And now what the people can do, this is what what you just said, is they can look for the cheapest T-share, right? They can look for the right duration that they want, and so on. So it's really giving us another tool to maximize our hex earnings. I really love it. So let's talk about the benefits that the user has. We have the benefits of fees that are like a fee saver of 99%, because you don't have to end the stake anymore. You basically just have to claim your hex. Is this correct? And then what other benefits are there using the perpetuals or the pool party?
Yeah, so I mean that's the big one, is definitely the fees. Other benefits are that now you're in the Maximus ecosystem, and so like what we're seeing now, like with when Team and the perpetuals launched, Maxi benefited in a big way because a lot of Maxi was burnt during that launch. A lot of Maxi was locked up. And so the people with Maxi, benefited from just being in the ecosystem, because through through a next launch, some extra value was kind of injected into that. And so, and now it's like, there's this big airdrop coming on. And so, that's kind of like a soft benefit of just kind of being in an ecosystem that continues to build and push things forward. Because I mean, look, it's like right now we're every single person with any of our existing Maximus tokens, which are all the pools we've talked about so far, and Poly Water, which was related to the Poly launch, and our latest dip catcher algorithm, which we talked about, all those tokens are eligible for an airdrop. And so, that just kind of being in this ecosystem, I think, is a good thing in general. So that's like another benefit for users. And also, I mean, really, I think it's just simplifying the whole thing, where you can just simply buy and hold the token, and that is giving you exposure to the hex stake. I think that's a really awesome benefit. It's just like very simple. You don't have to do anything, and it's just there for you. So I think that's another big benefit.
What would be some of the benefits for a community creator who creates the pool?
So if you create a pool, you get to choose a ticker name, which is actually done through this auction process. Because as you can imagine, like these tickers are valuable brand assets, and people are probably going to be rushing to try to get the best tickers. And so, so as an organizer, you can get good names. So you set the name, you set the ticker, you set the duration, and you set like what the minting schedule is like. And so, and then also you can set an organizer fee. So where you can earn for, like, if you want to organize a big pool, you can set a fee. So that's, I think, a pretty big benefit there, is that it gives people the tools to do kind of what we've done, which is have these big launches with these hex staking pools, and it lets people experience that. And so we're hoping that people that are really passionate about onboarding people and want to kind of take ownership over this type of process, that they join this. And so that just giving people the tools to do this, because when you're deploying a pool, what you're getting is the contract gets deployed for you, and then your pool is added to the Hex pool party dashboard. And so now you have a whole minting and redemption user interface. Our minting and redemption interfaces that we built have processed, like, the dollar value of all the minting so far was somewhere around $80 million. It was like $50 million in Maxi. Then the price of Hex went way down by the time that the other pools launched. There was like 25 million there, 5 million in Poly. And so it's like 80 million has of dollars of business have gone through our UIs for minting. And so, we have a pretty good, we've really studied how to make those very good and with high conversion, very, very limited. Like, you can't even think of anyone that had like a bad time minting or couldn't figure it out. And so we have really effective user interfaces. Just, the dashboard's right there for them to use. And so doing that, it's like, okay, you keep, like, for me, it took months of building to do this, but then now for you, it's like you can just enter in some information. Boom, you're now a pool party starter. And so just like that whole experience, I think I would really like to see us unlock a lot of really powerful onboarding and just, community organizing efforts, and so we're just trying to give people the tools to do that.
And obviously, I want to talk a little bit about the airdrop as well, because the token that will be airdropped is the party token, right? So let's talk a little bit about this. What will the party token represent?
Yes. So the party token is it's like the community owned system. And so if you just hold party, so without even staking or doing anything with your party, you earn rewards that come from a small fee that is applied to the pooling. So the fee that you pay basically for using all these contracts and tools in your pooling, that goes to the party holders. And so you can just simply hold your party and earn yield. You earn hex. You don't even have to do anything with it. And so so party is just incentivized to keep growing the pool organizing ecosystem, because the more hex that gets pooled through here, the more that the party holders earn. And so the total supply of party is going to be created during the launch phase. So you can mint 42,069 party per ETH during about a 1 month mint phase. And then after that, 10% of whatever amount is minted is then airdropped to all the Maximus DAO token holders. And so that's like where the airdrop amount is defined by how much gets minted. So the more party that is minted, the more party tokens that the airdrop gets. And then in addition to the airdrop going to the existing Maximus DAO token holders, they also get a mint multiplier. So for example, if the mint multiplier was like 1%, then that would mean that people would get what's 1% of 42,000, like 500 extra party per ETH. And so you basically get a discount if you qualify for the airdrop, you qualify for a discount on your minting. And so yeah, so then all that'll be the supply, the initial supply. And then we need to update the website there because something that we announced yesterday that we've built is a simple party staking system where you can choose to not earn the hex rewards and lock up. You're burning the party token, and you earn more party when you stake. So you don't earn. So you give up the hex rewards that you would earn to the other people, but then in that time you're earning more party. So it's like you can choose to delay gratification on those weekly hex earnings. Say you lock up a year, and then at the end of that year, now you have more party, and so from then you can earn that hex rewards at a higher rate than people that just held their party liquid and earned the hex. So I posted a tweet. It was like it just kind of showed a simple diagram of where you either choose to hold your party liquid and you earn hex, or you stake your party and you earn more party. So I think that'll provide a nice balance there where those hex rewards maybe in the short term are going to be quite high because a lot of people are going to be staking their party. And when the party's staked, it's a hard stake. Like there's no early end staking your party. Like you're committing to the full term, and during that time you just earn more party. And so it's actually a very tough decision to make, I think. And I think that's good. Like the harder the decisions are, the more likely that it's kind of evenly spread out. And so that's what can kind of, provide that balance where both earners can be earning a lot. So I think that's going to be a powerful thing. Is just like party staking versus just holding liquid to earn the hex, or stake your party to earn more party.
I have an interesting question here by AJ. Can you walk us through a specific scenario demonstrating how one might benefit from a pool party?
Yeah, so if you have hex and you want to stake it, or you want to mine more hex with it, rather than doing that on your own, you can come to pool party and then find new pools that are launching, or existing pools that you could potentially buy straight into. And so for someone that has hex and they want to earn more hex, pool party will be the best way for you to either find new pools to join, or join an existing pool that lets you just lock in those T-shares. So that's if you're a user with hex. If you're someone that would want to organize a pool, you benefit because you have all the tools just in a couple button clicks to be able to launch your own pooling contract and pooling user interfaces. So you don't have to, either build it yourself or, go through developers to try to build it. You can just implement this thing that we've already built and kind of proven. You can just do that directly. And if you decide to set an organizer fee, you could monetize from that. The larger your pool is, the more you can make. So that's how you would benefit if you are someone that wants to organize a pool.
And the organizer fee, I think that's pretty cool for the organizer. As bigger he is organizing, like as more people he gets to stake, as bigger is the bigger pays better bonus for everybody. So it really makes sense. And then it's just like a little incentive for the people to do it, right? So I think that's a pretty cool game mechanic that you have implemented here. But at the end, it always comes down to this here. Let's go to the screen here, the T-share marketplace. Because if you see the numbers here, then to me, it becomes really clear. One T-share price for Maxi right now is 569. And for Desi, it's a little bit cheaper. So I would probably go for Desi. And if there's maybe a pool, that fits me, my specific needs, the duration or the organizer is really cool, and I want to support that, then I would go for that. So now there is something for everybody. And what I was reading, I don't know where it was, I think in the FAQ somewhere, you are aware that, if you don't do it yourself, somebody else will create those kind of products. So it is actually important to basically have it in-house, and if you have to, dilute yourself, right?
Yeah, because, it's like there's always going to be competition. And, that was the big worry with launching Base Trio Lucky Desi. Everyone was like, what's going to happen, like Maxi going to zero or what, because there's now competition. But it's like anyone else could have done this as well. And so if you're going to get diluted, at least you should be the one diluting yourself and competing with yourself, because now it's like if you're a new competitor trying to enter, it's actually a lot harder, because there's now like if like the leading, like like the industry leader was willing to compete with itself, now the industry leader has numerous offerings that are all competing with each other. That's a very hard thing to compete with. Like one that, because we can afford to, right? Like it's not like we have to like hire people to build this stuff. It's not like this stuff takes a lot of our time. And it's not like this is like, there's maybe, I could, I could like, I earn a lot of software developing and non-crypto related things. So like maybe that's opportunity cost there, but I think that like we're in a position where we can afford to compete with ourselves, because it's like these things take a couple weeks to build. The biggest cost in everything has been auditing by far. And so it's like, very little, expenses. And so it's like, we can afford to do that. Other people may not be able to, but it's, that's why I think, it's better to just be ahead of it all. And, because at the end of the day, it's really, we want to deliver really good solutions to people. And then, this is like the avenue that we're doing it through.
And I think by now we went through the whole site. The last thing that I see here is the Telegram. And I think that's the best way for anybody to go and learn about the Maximus DAO, about the perpetuals, and also pool party that is coming up. Because, there's, I bet you, some specific questions that the people have. Maybe they want to buy some Maximus now because they heard about the airdrop and so on. And that's why the Telegram group here is really the place to go. And that's where I want to invite anybody to go to learn more about pool party. Dipcatcher, is there anything that we have not touched on yet that you think we need to dive deeper a little bit into to make the people aware of what is coming? You said there is no launch date yet. This is all in the works. Do you have an estimation maybe?
Yeah, probably just a couple weeks. Yeah, I mean, the pooling contract is done. The party minting contract is done. The like pool deployment piece is done. The only thing, the snapshot script for generating the snapshot and crediting, like injecting that into the contract, that's done. So pretty much the only thing that's left is what would that be? To actually, do the snapshot and then we're doing some extensive testing after the poly thing. I basically did like a full crash course on new ways to automatically test things in smart contracts. So whole lot of new testing sequences and testing techniques that we're implementing in this. And so we'll do some extensive testing on these. A lot of these were already tested because the staking part, it's already been audited, tested, everything. That part's not that big. But with like the new thing where you earn rewards from just holding a token liquid, that's pretty novel. And so we'll make sure that that's fully tested and everything. But yeah, everything is done. And kind of the last thing that we're kind of working on that's just about complete is I think we brought up briefly, but to kind of mitigate the problem of people taking all the really high quality names, we're introducing this ticker name registrar where where you can try to claim a name, but then like but the name will go up to auction. And so because these names are really important. Like I think that's been a big key to our success is I think we have really effective naming of these pool tokens. Like what if they were named something else, like I don't even know what would be a bad name, but like I feel like we have really good names. And like the original, how the contract was originally built, it was that if you organize the pool, it was like a first come first serve on the names. But then I was like, okay, someone could just like basically spend no money and just like kind of thwart the contract by taking up all the good names. Like, what if someone just came in and started a pool for like all the good names out there? And so we didn't want to make it cheap to do that. And we wanted to make sure that people that like actually had plans to utilize like a good brand, that they have a chance to, to get that name. And so the way it'll work is that, once it's live, there are going to be these auctions that you like. If you go to register a name, it'll go up for auction. It's a lot like the Hedron auctions, actually, where it's like there's an initial 48-hour period, and then it extends with every bid that happens towards the end. So, just simple auction mechanism for locking in these names. And what's interesting about these names is that they can actually be transferred and sold. The contract has a way for you to, if someone else owns a name, you can put in an offer on the name. And so these name auctions are actually going to be a good extra yield source for the party token holders, because these auctions the party holders earn that as yield. So so it's like an added revenue stream is kind of governing these like this name registrar. And I think that'll be pretty exciting. Maybe there's some speculative opportunities for people that want to lock in names and try to do that. And so that's how it'll work kind of on an ongoing basis. But we know that there are people out there that want to, like, they have names in mind, and like, people have told us like they want to do this. And so to kind of give people that are serious about it and kind of plugged in an opportunity to secure their names without having to like do a whole auction and risk like losing it. We're doing this first come, first serve pre-launch name reservation contract where you can pre-reserve your name. So if you have an idea for a pool party that you want to lock in, you can come in. There's a flat rate. It's like 0.3 ETH, where you get your name. So your name will be pre-registered. So when the contract's deployed, your name and the address you link to it will already be in the contract. So you can lock. So we're opening this up just because we know that we want people to have a good experience, especially if they know about this today. And so we're opening up this like name registrar thing, probably maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, and that will let people just start reserving their names, and maybe those people get a little extra airdrop of party tokens at the same time, but who knows? So
all right, and the people are excited about the airdrop. We have New World Disorder here asking, so if I buy Maxi, can I still get into the airdrop?
Yes. So Maxi, Team, Base, Trio, Lucky, Desi, Poly, Water, DCA. If you had minted DCA or redeemed a DCA token for access to the algorithm, you're eligible. So all 9 of those. Yeah. So
I guess the question was more of if somebody buys Maxi now.
Oh, yeah. So I guess I wasn't going to, I was trying to not give any indication of if the snapshot's happened yet, but it has not happened yet. It could happen, right? It could happen right as we get off this call. I don't want people to kind of game the airdrop. So it's either going to happen sometime between now and when this thing launches in a couple weeks. So,
and this is exactly what your tweet was. Your tweet was that now is the first time that the snapshot could happen, right? And like you said, there's enough time in the future, the next couple of days, even that the snapshot could occur. And I think it's fair that you do it this way, to not have anybody gaming the system. That's, I think, very, very fair.
Yeah. It's because it's always a hard thing, especially when people are like talking about how with the Pulse chain launch and like kind of how people are maybe going to try to game that. And I think he's, maybe that's why there's that buffer that is supposed to happen or something. But, it's a kind of a hard challenge because we don't want people to just like know when it's going to happen. And then they do a big flash loan and just like buy up all the supply, get a big airdrop, and then like instantly get it back, like, or any funny business like that. We just want to avoid. And so this surprise secret airdrop is kind of the best way to do it.
And it seems like my plan is fulfilled, because New World Order is saying, I just learned about all of this 5 minutes ago. I will catch up. And this is exactly what I'm hearing all the time when I talk to people about HEX. Then I also ask about Maximus, about Hedron, if they have learned in this regard yet. And often I get a no. And then I'm telling them, you have to look into Maximus, into the perpetuals, because once you understand that, you really understand what a great opportunity it is to get cheap T-shares. Because at this point, it doesn't matter anymore if you buy HEX, if you buy Maximus, if you buy other of these perpetuals. It's at the end all to get more HEX, right? It all comes back really beautiful to HEX, and this is how it's really supporting the system, and it is all community built. I mean, you, Dipcatcher, are a day one Hexican, always really active in the community, so I'm really, really glad that you are doing all of this. Is there one last thing that you want to share before we end the stream today? Maybe something that you think the Hexicans need to know, especially in these exciting times for Pulsechain coming?
Yeah, I mean, just keep having fun. You know, like this is just, you know, it's an exciting time. I think we've survived at least the first part of an extended bear market. You never know what's going to happen in the future, but you know, if you made it this far, congratulations. You know, you're a survivor. And I think, you know, just keep having fun. You know, don't take life too seriously. Don't stress yourself out. And join the pool party.
Join the pool party. And it's also not too late to get some Maxi in order to get more of the airdrop, because I bet a lot of our Hexicans already have a lot of Maxi, a lot of from the perpetuals, and all of them are eligible for the airdrop. It's going to be exciting times when all of this launches. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for all the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for being here in the chat, to all of the people that are watching. Amazing viewership right now, 55 people watching, and the numbers are just growing. And like you said, it is really exciting with the times about to come. Pulsechain around the corner, it really feels like this, and the numbers are growing. As maybe it is because of the price is growing as well. We are back to 6 cents. Great prices, way better than a couple of weeks ago. And I think that we are all progressing, all building, is one of the reasons why it is like this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. I'm on tomorrow at 7 p.m. again. And, you know, I see you almost every day. So thanks you guys for participating. The numbers are really growing, and I enjoy that a lot. Last words, Dipcatcher, and then I play the outro, and we are out of here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks for everyone for joining here. To learn more about Pool Party, go to hexpool.party. Follow me on Twitter at TantoNomini. MaximusDAO.com. I see someone in the chat ask, can we get a link to the official Maximus pool? Just go to portfolio.maximus.cash, and you can find all the assets and contracts there. So thank you again. This is awesome.
And all the links are also in the video description. I want everybody to be safe and always use the right links. And that's why I always like to go to Twitter, to Maximus DAO, or to Dipcatcher, because then I just know I will click the right click. So thank you, everybody, for being here. I will now play the outro, and then I see you tomorrow. Bye.
And God only knows what great things we could manage under such conditions. We're becoming incredibly technologically powerful. And what would it be what would it be like if we became equally wise? Well, that would really be something. God only knows what we could manage in the next 20 years or the next 100 years, you know? We're running at 40%, most of us, you know, because we're half in and half out. And it's not surprising, because life is difficult. It's like, well, what if you were 90% in? Or 95% in, or all in, because you're all in anyways, right? It's a life and death game. No one gets out of this. Everyone dies. You might as well commit yourself, and you might as well commit yourself to the highest good that you can attain, because why not? It'll imbue your life with meaning. It's hard, the responsibility's there, but all the meaning's in the responsibility, and that'll make your life better. It'll make your family's life better, and it should make your culture better. Maybe it make the world better. It's like, that'll justify your damn miserable existence at 3 o'clock in the morning when you're wondering what the hell you're doing here. And that's a good thing, because there's going to be days when you're aching and tired and sore, and there's people in your family that are sick, and you're cynical and bitter, and you need a reason to get up, and you think, yeah, well, a little more heaven and a little less hell. Maybe I can pull that off today and tomorrow and next week. And that's worth struggling forward for.